Fire Joe Barry. No. You don't get an intro. Fire Joe Barry. Okay, now you can play the intro. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to an episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help sometimes. I'm your host, Tom. If you want to see your quarterback do great things, just have him go against the Packers defense, Grossi. And today, it's time to break down the Green Bay Packers loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 34-20. And ladies and gentlemen, history has been made in which never in history has an opposing QB come into Lambeau and have a perfect passer rating until today. Is it Tom Brady? No. Is it Peyton Manning? No. Is it Patrick Mahomes? No. It is Baker Mayfield. You know, the guy who was throwing like 18,000 interceptions at Lambeau? Yeah, that guy. And good God, I'm done. I'm done with the defense. I'm done with Joe Barry, and it is exhausting. And maybe it's because I streamed for 10 hours yesterday. And again, a big shout out to everyone who donated. We raised $78,000 for charity, which was great. And maybe it's because I've streamed 2 games today, and now this is the second video I'm doing, and I got to stream again in about an hour. But good God, I am exhausted. I am dead inside watching this defense. And the thing is, and it happens every season, there are a few games where there's that little bit of hope that you go, oh, maybe things have turned around. The Packers last year, they were hot garbage, but there's that streak they went on in December because Matt LaFleur was undefeated in December, except for last week against the Giants when that record got ruined, and they went on this streak. There was turnovers. They were getting after the quarterback and all this, and you're like, whoa, maybe he's figured it out. And guess what? Week 18 against the Lions, right back to the same old defense. And then we have this year in which the defense is playing pretty decent, is playing pretty well, at least keeping opponents around 20 points. And then they go in and they destroy the Lions, they destroy the Chiefs, and then they're like, yes, Packers are going to run the table. And what happens? They lose to the Giants, and they allow a third-string rookie, and I get it, Tommy Cutlets, Tommy DeVito, the whole 9 yards, but absolutely with no effort or resistance, walk down the field, kick the game-winning field goal. And today, could not stop a cold. They were able to get a sack and a fumble, which was fantastic. And Baker Mayfield did get sacked 5 times. The D-line did a pretty good job. But the secondary, garbage. The run defense wasn't great. 21 for 89 for White, and he could have had a touchdown at the end, but he decided to just sit down and not rub it in the Packers' faces. But let's talk about the frackin' pass defense. 381 yards allowed on 22 catches. Chris Godwin, 10 for 155, destroy us. David Moore, 2 for 68. Mike Evans, 4 for 57. And Baker Mayfield, 22 for 28, only had six incompletions, 381 yards and 4 touchdowns. It was so infuriating because there's things that will happen because there is a ton of talent on this defense in which they'll get a sack, they'll get a big stop, and then the very next play, when it's 2nd and 19, they'll allow a 20-yard completion down the field because for some God unknown reason, we just like to play the softest coverage in the history of the world. And so yes, I was very against Joe Barry coming back this year because I was done with him last year, and he came back and I was like, okay, it's a figure it out season. The offense is going to have some bumps and bruises. You know, they're going to have some growing pains. And Brian Gutekunst last year, after that Lions loss, had that press conference and basically said, well, we thought our defense was going to give us more leeway as we figured it out with our rookie wide receivers, and it didn't happen. But we still brought him back, which I don't even know why we hired him in the first place, but that's neither here nor there. But that does relate to Matt LaFleur and potential issues there. But then this year is like, okay, well, I'm going to give a lot of grace and leeway to the offense because it's Jordan Love who has started a total of 1 NFL game. Yeah, there's going to be growing pains. You know where there shouldn't be growing pains? this defense. And I want to be very, very clear. Jair Alexander, still banged up, right? No more Rasul Douglas. Eric Stokes got activated off IR, played for the first time in forever today. Also got burnt a bit today. And again, rust, I get it. Hasn't played in a little while. That's fine. And I excuse all the injuries. I excuse the fact that our safeties are guys that we have basically picked off the street and Darnell Savage. I get it. That's cool. That's fine. I can have some leeway with that. What I can't have leeway with is that this is the same kind of crap that happens every effing season. They have the streaks, like against the Lions and the Chiefs, and then they allow this kind of stuff to happen. And we got past the tough part of the schedule, or at least we were supposed to. And the Buccaneers are a solid football team. Don't get me wrong. I don't want this to seem like we're insulting the Buccaneers. They came into Lambeau. They kicked our ass. Baker Mayfield said in his little post game, basically talked about, hey, like this is the most offensively complete game we had. Why? Because not only did they play really well, you were going against Joe Barry. Everybody has a great game against Joe Barry, unless you're one of the few quarterbacks that happen to pick the wrong day to play him when the defense decides to show up for 3 weeks. And I'm just tired of it because it's the same thing. How long are Packers fans going to sit there and just watch the same defense year in, year out, right? After the Super Bowl run, and unfortunately, like Nick Collins and Charles Woodson going away, never got replaced. 2014, defense a little bit better. Then they have the god-awful game against the Seahawks in the NFC Championship game. And there's like glimpses. 2020 had a pretty good defense. And unfortunately, going up against Tom Brady in the first half didn't help. But then they got 3 interceptions in that game. And then you have 2021 where the defense was really, really good. It was our special teams that screwed us and the offense as well. And now it's just like, okay, well, what's the excuse? Because if we're looking at injuries, we were able to stop Patrick Mahomes with a lot of injuries. We weren't able to stop Tommy DeVito. We weren't able to stop Baker Mayfield. And it's just the way that it is called, the way that this defense is played, it's almost as if you would think the Packers had like a 21-point lead at all times. They are playing 10 yards off, guys. They are leaving these huge zones in the middle, wide open. Even last week with that final drive when Tommy DeVito literally just like walked down the field and was like, okay, here we go, because you let him, and we're lining up 9 yards off the wide receivers. They're just like, yeah, no problem. They were supposed to be in man. Well, it doesn't look like they're in man, Joe. And I want to be very clear, too. I think Joe Barry needs to be fired, right? I think that is now very, very clear. I've talked about that for over 2 years. However, there are also like personnel changes that need to happen. There are guys that also need to be like off the team, or guys that need to get better. And there's guys that, again, dealing with injuries or it's their first time playing. I have a lot of grace and leeway with those guys. However, I do not have any more patience for Joe Barry, this god-awful scheme, the lackadaisical way that they play defense. And it's just so it's beyond streaky. It is just so ridiculously inconsistent, but the one thing that is consistent is usually the defense is going to let you down. Because I want to be very freaking fracking clear here. Jordan Love, he missed a few throws today, 29 for 39, 284 yards, 2 touchdowns, was sacked twice. That's enough to win the game. The Packers scored 20 points, right? They were playing pretty well, but you could not count on that defense at all. You couldn't hold them to field goals. They were scoring touchdowns at will. And I'm sorry, it is now beyond a problem, because now it might cost the Packers a playoff run because they have 3 games left. They're currently out of the playoffs right now after holding on to the 7 seed, because now with losses against the Giants and the Buccaneers, who the Giants, they're attempting to make the playoffs. The Buccaneers, they're leading the division, and thank God the Falcons lost today, but we got to worry about the Rams. We got to worry about the Seahawks. We got to worry about the Vikings. We got to worry about all these other teams that could have been alleviated, I don't know, if the defense, which is supposed to be run by a veteran defensive coordinator, did well. Like, I don't think it's that crazy to look at this and go, hey, we should be able to rely on our defense with all the investments that we have made into that defense, all the first round picks over and over and over again. And why does the defense still look like this? So Jordan Love, I'm very happy for him. Jordan Love played well. Aaron Jones came back. 13 for 53. We saw him a lot in the first drive. And then Matt LaFleur was like, okay, we're done now. We don't need to go back to that because why would we? Wicks had a great game. He's been consistently good all season. Tucker Kraft has emerged as a weapon. Jaden Reed, of course, being amazing as he has been these past few weeks. And the offense, I like the direction which it's going. I still question some Matt LaFleur play calls, 1,000,000%. But the other thing that I'm really questioning about Matt LaFleur is his hiring practices, because I don't know if he's picking the right guys. Because besides Joe Barry, Rich Bisaccia, who I loved when they hired him, he's been not so great this year. The special teams for the Packers is not good. So you have a very young and inexperienced offense. Then you have a defense and a special teams, which has not been great except for a handful of weeks. It's going to be tough to win football games. And now and Matt LaFleur could go on the press conference and basically say whatever he wants to say. And I know the Packers probably won't fire Joe Barry mid-season. Maybe they will to kind of like send a shot across the bow. But honestly, it needs to get fixed. And on top of that, they need to really look at who they're going to hire next, because they could have had Ejiro Evero. That would have been really cool. I would have really liked to see what he would have done with that defense. There were guys available last year. Hell, look at Brian Flores and what he's done with the Minnesota Vikings defense. Yeah, some major differences there. And I got to say, even some of these players on defense played better under guys like Mike Pettin. But I'm just so tired of the Dom Capers post-Super Bowl, except for 2014 when he was doing better. The Dom Capers held on forever, the Mike Pettins, and now the Joe Barrys. It just seems like we're hiring the same kind of guy every single time, and nothing is changing. And we're throwing our hands up and going, why isn't anything changing? All right, let's spend a first round on a pass rusher again. Or let's spend first round on a defense again. And it is maddening. It is truly maddening. And now I'm just frustrated because the Packers, if they lost a close game, Jordan Love played his best, what have you, the defense played well, I get it. It's football. It's going to happen. And Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers deserve a lot of credit. They had a really, really good game. They were also open all the effing time because of the defense. And again, these woes are not going to end when Joe Barry's gone, because you're going to blame Joe Barry for all these missed tackles? You're going to blame Joe Barry for guys leaving guys wide open? Sometimes the scheme 100% does that. But, guys, I don't want to see guys in coverage anymore covering Chris Godwin. That shouldn't be covering Chris Godwin. It's not working. It's Preston Smith on Justin Jefferson all over again. I hate seeing it. And so, yeah, Joe Barry, I'm sure he's a really nice guy. It's nothing personal. And I try to keep in mind like that human element as well. But it's also the accountability of doing your job. And right now, and Joe Barry has not been doing a good job with all of the draft capital investment that you can ask for. And now we've given him a lot of time. A lot of time. And for me, that time's up now. So the Packers, they have 3 games left. They could still make the postseason. They're playing the Panthers, then the Vikings, then the Bears. They need to win out, and now they need some help from some other teams as well. Will they get it? I don't know. But the good thing is Jordan Love looks good. The young receivers look good. That is something to build upon. And again, that is youth getting better and progressing. Really exciting for the future. The defense, I've been excited about the defense before and just constantly been disappointed. And so, will there be a change? God, I hope so. Because if not, we're going to be in the same exact position next season going, why is the defense the way that it is? But that's where I am right now. The Green Bay Packers are sitting at 6-8. And yeah, I don't know if they're going to make the postseason, but let's see what they could do these last 3 games. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. You know, I saw me at Tom Grossi Comedy, all social media, see down below. A big shout out and thank you to all the Patreon and YouTube members for supporting this channel. And thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.